Hi, my name is Greg Beckett, Motivational Hypnotist, and this is an episode of It's Time to Get Unstuck. I have a wonderful friend and mentor and an all-around nice lady, Ines Simpson, here with us. Right?
Thanks a lot for getting me on here. And you're first
For
this particular podcast, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I've done some others, been guests on others, but this is a switch because you've actually interviewed me before. Right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. I want to talk about something before we get into the actual juice of things. So we're going to talk about hypnosis and what it is and what it isn't and those sorts of things. But I want to ask you, have you been to HypnoThoughts Live?
I have, of course.
So
I love it. It's great. I know. It's a great place. You know, you can never learn enough. And they have a wide variety. And the variety is awesome. And they have you there.
Thank you.
It has to be best.
They're actually sponsoring this show for us right now, and
that's awesome.
It's in August every year. It's in Las Vegas, and I suggest anybody interested in hypnosis or want to improve their skills or even learn about it. There's such a, like Ines said, a wide variety of people that are there. There's every tribe, so to speak. I say tribe, you know, there's people that are very intellectual, there's people very spiritual. There's a little bit of everything, and we all just come together and have a good time. So if you get the opportunity to look at the schedule and when it is in August and all the things they have to offer, I suggest you do so. So
and
thank
from
you.
The many places I've been in the world for conventions, they run the shows just beautifully.
I know, and it's a pretty good price too, so that's always nice.
Yeah.
The whole podcast about Time to Get Unstuck is really about change and moving forward. And I wanted to talk to you initially about how you felt and what your thoughts are about hypnosis, how it works, and how it works to have change happen. So wherever you want to jump in on that, and we'll.
Okay. Well, let's start at the very beginning. Is hypnosis, you want to have an outcome in. You want to allow to be put in hypnosis. We are not forcing you to go in hypnosis. You could just say, I'm not going in, and that would be fine. You'd be done.
Yeah,
right?
We're talking about free will, right?
Free will, totally.
Yeah.
And yet people say, well, yes, you can do it. And you know what? You can sneak up to somebody and put them in hypnosis.
Right.
But after that, they're armed and they'd never let you do it again.
Yeah.
So it's a stupid thing to do from my point of view.
Right.
You know, street hypnosis is great, but only do it with people that want it.
Right. Because there's still a willingness, right?
Yeah. You need to be willing. And you need to want, and for doing work in hypnosis, you need to want the change. We can't just wave this magic wand and say, here you go, baby. We're getting a little closer. But I'm just joking. But we are getting a little bit closer if you have the desire. If you have the desire, the want, the more you want it, the better it is for you. That's it. So when you get into hypnosis, you do it every day. It's like breathing. You do it every time you're watching TV or anything. So understand it's your choice. Now, if you want to be in hypnosis formally with someone, we need you to say to us, yes, we want to go into hypnosis. And if you're not meaning it, you still won't. So you understand we need you on board. If there's lots of fear around that, we want to give you the misconceptions is that we can tell you everything to do. We'll find out where your money's hidden. Hasn't happened yet. I'm still flogging and having to work. So understand that doesn't happen. So there's a part of you that is always going to keep you safe.
Right.
Even, you know, if people say, well, look at those people on stage. They do all that silly stuff. I'd never do it. Yes, but that person didn't mind doing it.
Right. It's all a setup for the stage. It's all a setup for the stage hypnosis.
And they're also very extroverted types.
Right. Right.
So,
and even if it's taking away that inhibition to do what they would do if they weren't afraid.
Yeah. Plus, it gives them the creativity because they're using not just 10% of their mind. They're using the whole thing. The whole thing is in charge. Now, we do this naturally. Sometimes you can watch actors that become the person, you know.
Right.
They're so into it. They're in total trance, you know. They're just there. And we do that every day when we're reading or we let that happen. But when we're formally afraid of something because of the connotations of past people saying in movies and all that stuff, but it really isn't. You are totally in charge. And unless you give up your power,
By
because
choice, right?
by choice, some people do that, and some people believe it. And they said, well, that guy has all the power, I'm going to give it to him. And if that's your belief at that time, yes, you can do that. But it's not, if you decide you don't want to, you don't have to.
Now, don't you think a hypnosis session, at least for me, and I hope, well, you'll tell me whether you agree or not, it doesn't matter. Right, we're here to have a conversation. But I've been learning, and I've been better about explaining the process and explaining exactly what I'm going to do with someone so that they have an understanding, and it's not this surprising thing or magical thing. I feel like it's me taking them and walking them through the forest, so to speak, as a metaphor, and just walking down the path and letting them go and letting them see what they need to see and do what they need to do to take care of themselves.
Exactly. That's very well put. And people don't, when they have their experience, because the kind of hypnosis you and I do is where we think from, is that we are thinking from what is the best thing for you to experience, and we do as little leading as we can so you experience it the way you need to. Right?
Now, let's talk about this, because you're saying the type of hypnosis that you and I do. When we say that, for people that don't know about hypnosis as much as we do, or are new to it or whatever, there's different mindsets. There's people that are very analytical about hypnosis and do very science-based hypnosis, which is awesome. And there's other people that do more spiritual and more energetic type hypnosis. Great. And then there's people in the middle. I actually feel like I'm in the middle. I don't know where you
think I'm in the middle too. I think I'm in the middle. But still the philosophy is that I like to do what the client needs. And I think other people do too. It's just that they go about it in a different perceived way. And all of it. NLP, to me, everything is hypnosis. Right. And, so if you're doing EFT or any of it, for me, that is hypnosis. It is the bypass of the critical factor of the conscious mind. So people are not afraid of EFT. They're afraid of hypnosis sometimes because of the connotation of the word. And mind you, that's the word we have to use because we're hypnotists. So understand that everything in the world, even you watching commercials on TV, is hypnosis. So you're in it day in, day out anyway. So what you do is connect to the kind of style of hypnotist that you like, because that's where the rapport is.
Are we actually taking them out of hypnosis?
Sometimes a lot of it is about it's not really about taking them totally out of hypnosis, because we go in and out every day, but it's sometimes taking off the programming that they self-programmed or got programmed by others. Right.
Even by seeing something as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Seeing something as a kid, like someone afraid of mice, like their mother, and they're like little 3-year-old, and their mother's screaming and yelling, and then they come to us as an adult afraid of mice or whatever it is, and they don't know why. We find out it's because they saw something that sort of impacted them, stayed there energetically or emotionally, and didn't evolve as they grew up. And now we go back to help them release it so they can let it go.
Yeah, because they understand. It's just like in the past, I've worked with someone who had a phobia or panic attacks, and they didn't know what it was from. But when they went back, it's something like that. It's something very usually tiny. People always imagine they're going to go back to this horrific thing. It happens, right? That happens. Right. But it also, sometimes it's only what the 2-year-old is afraid of.
Right, not what the adult has a different understanding.
No, and an adult will say, well, gee, that was nothing. It was only nothing to the adult. Right. Because that little 2-year-old was still living there.
Right. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. True or false?
I say true.
I say true. Oh, that's why we get along. Because
it's being allowed by them. And we ask them to follow our directions. But it's them still following the directions.
So when we're talking about the different styles, scientific-based, spiritually based, or energetically based, or in the middle, do you think anyone is better than the other?
Not necessarily. I don't think so. I think what is better is the one that for each hypnotist, that's better for the hypnotist, and he will attract and have rapport with those people who need that kind of hypnosis. Right. So if they don't come to me for hypnosis and they go to Joe Blow, I totally understand, because It's more in style with them. We are more in rapport, whatever. So this is what on Hypnosis Everywhere, as you know, I just show every kind of hypnosis there is. So if you go to it and then you see that and then you say, well, that's my style or not, you can go always see if you're in rapport with it. You do it all the time, Greg. You always say, I'll have that chat with you and see what you think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we see if we are rapport, because they might be better off with somebody who's doing NLP or somebody who's doing this.
Or there might be someone that specializes, let's say, someone might come to me for pain. I'm not a big pain management person.
Yeah.
At this time, maybe I will be. I'm just not. It's just, but I know other people that are. Or for birthing, I know people that love doing birthing with people with hypnosis, and I'll send them to them. I've never birthed nor had children, so I'm sort of, I know I could, I guess, if I was in it, right? If I had to, but I'd rather send it to someone and do what I do best, and send them to someone that's what they do best. So there's all styles and types, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I would do that too sometimes, except I'm a definite generalist, meaning that I pretty well work on anything that walks through the door. But if I had a thinking that this person would be better for them, I would definitely do the same.
Generalist. I guess I'm a generalist. Yeah. We actually know each other because Ines is the creator of the Simpson Protocol. And I am actually a trainer for Ines in the western half of the U.S. So that's another way that we have a connection. I'm sure people.
And I pick well, believe me.
You pick well? Thank you.
I think you might be blushing.
I do blush. I blush. I cry. I'm like everybody else. I mean, when you have someone that you look up to give you a compliment,
I know, it's awesome, isn't it?
It's a blushing moment.
I like it.
Yeah. You had mentioned that you said Hypnosis Everywhere, so people don't know what that is. It's a podcast that you do.
It's on Voice America, not Voice of America. Voice America. You can Google it. We're on the Health and Wellness channel, and it's called Hypnosis Everywhere. You can get it on iTunes or any other podcast at all. But you can also go to esdeleinstitute.com and find it there.
Yeah. You know what I find really interesting is people still keep those beliefs of that we're controlling them in hypnosis, right? That they're going to cluck like a chicken. That
there's a few hypnotists in the world that actually like to promote that. Because I think some of them on some level believe it too.
Right.
It's old style thinking from back in the 50s, pretty much.
You know what I find fascinating about the work that we do?
Yeah.
Is that people come in burdened. And at least for me, they share. We build rapport because you want to have rapport with the person you're working with. Yeah. And they get to share and unpack this burden. And then as they unpack this burden, for me anyway, I get to really listen and work with whatever spirituality they have, whatever their viewpoint is, because I feel like that's my job, right? To change them to what I need them to be, but to help them become who they want to be, right? So you work with
always about the client,
right? We work with their belief system, whether it's Buddhist or Lord Jesus Christ or whatever it is, and you can use anything that they bring because they always give us the keys to what they need, right? So as they unpack, we get to do some work when we actually do the hypnosis to help them do what they need to brush it away. And the looks sometimes on people's faces when they emerge from hypnosis of relaxation, of joy, tears, all of that, of goodness, of whatever it is just an honor to be able to share those intimate moment of change with someone.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think we have the best job in the world, if you could call it a job. For me, it's a passion, and but it's what I do to make my living. So I guess in that way. But really, it's the best thing in the world, isn't it? When someone opens their eyes and the change has happened, you see it in their face, you see it everywhere. And
even through the tears, their tears are tears of release and of, some people have it, some people don't. It's, but it's just a fascinating thing that something so small has kept them so contained for so long or so entrapped or whatever that we could just take, a session or two or three or whatever it is, because it's not always one session for people.
No.
But and sometimes it is. It just depends. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
But to see them grow and expand through the process in a very short amount of time and in a very caring way.
Yeah, we consider hypnosis a short-term therapy where you're not going for 2 years or a year every week. That is not. This is called short-term therapy, which doesn't necessarily mean only one session. It can happen, like Greg says. But we usually, we usually suggest about 3 and then you can go more if you need it. And so we like to understand that people, the only thing I think about this is with the short-term one session is that people are missing out a little bit. They might have had this issue fixed. They fixed that issue. And they'll come back eventually when they want more. But there's always some underlying, the usual onion things, the levels
Right.
and levels of stuff there's under there. So if you do promote that it would be better for you if you did a couple more, people think, well, you're just trying to make more money. It's not necessarily that. What it is that there's always under stuff. I remember a guy who came and he had a phobia for, I think it was going out of the city limits. Couldn't go out of the city limits. That's different, right? But so when we fixed that, something else was underneath there somewhere, and we found it. But if I'd only done the one session, he would have been happy. He could have gone out of the city limits. And yes, he did. But that other thing would eventually have popped that right into his face again. And then we found that other thing that was attached to it, another level of fear of something.
Yeah.
I really like to do 3 sessions.
Yeah. And when you're talking about getting to the core of something or whatever, the initial sensitizing event, right?
Yeah.
And once we get to that, and that's all understood and explained and released and all of that, then it allows other things to fall into place from future years that no longer matter because the first one was taken care of. Which is
the most thing is that the conscious has some understanding, because
Exactly.
the conscious job is our consciousness needs rationality and logic and its decision making and all that stuff, but it doesn't get understanding. So most of it says logically, and most emotion is never logical, and it's usually emotional. So, but once they get the understanding consciously, they can have a rational thought about it, and
Right.
and get it all centered into place and make the life okay.
Talking about emotion and rational and stuff, once I have a client that, we have a conversation, and especially when people have a lot of stress and things going on, I say, wait a minute, where do you live? And they'll say, well, I'm always thinking about, I said, no, where do you live? Where's that little kid, that little boy, that little girl, those feelings, those aspirations, those desires, those goals, and it's here. And you could call it core, soul, or whatever. And I like to talk about how this is the master, or boss, let's say. This is the boss, this is the employee. But we tend to let the employee run the shop instead of letting the boss run the shop and ask the employee, how am I going to get or do, instead of the employee saying, you're never going to do it. Oh, who do you think you are? Oh, right? So instead go, we're not listening to the employee. The boss says do this. And it's retraining that connection too about working that out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense to me. I feel that everything is hypnosis in the world, and you don't realize that you are being programmed by everything. You've seen Tide commercials every year from 19 whenever, and you walk down the aisle and the first thing you see is Tide. I think I'll just pick it up.
And that's like the little drop on the rock that finally makes the groove and the hole,
Yep.
and, that whole thing. So
if you've heard something more often than that'll be the one that you're attracted to.
Right.
It doesn't really matter if it's real or not.
I don't know if you know this or remember this. I worked in advertising and media research for about 10 years. And our goal was, we have research to find out all this information of what people watch and things like that.
Yeah. And what is there, how are we going to get that critical bypass on this general amount of people, maybe an age group or some other place?
Exactly. They have all of it. They have all of it. And with that said, you who's watching today has everything you need. And our show's over already, but I want to say thank you to Ines, and they can find you at Ines at InesSimpson.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's probably the easiest one to remember. And I also said the EsdaleInstitute.com is maybe where they'll find some freebies, self-hypnosis site, stuff like that.
That's how I time the show, right? So that's where you can find Ines. And I know this is going to stop. I don't even know how to do that, do I?
They can just Google me and they'll find me.
Okay, that's it. And then Greg Beckett, Motivational Hypnotist, Time to Get Unstuck. And you can find me on Facebook, or you can go to hypnosisla.com or Greg at hypnosisla.com. And thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much.
Oh, and thanks Hypnosis Live 2019 for sponsoring us. All right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.